On this episode of Hunt Fish Ride, we're going to do a long-term review for my 2021 Royal Enfield Himalayan. Stick around and enjoy the video. Let's start with the power plant. The Himalayan has a 411cc air-cooled single-cylinder 4-stroke with a single overhead cam. I'll be putting up the rest of the specs and giving you feedback as we go along. Now, because this is only a 411cc air-cooled single thumper, that means we're going to be a little light on the ponies. 24.3 horsepower at 6,500 RPM. Basically what that means is don't go taking this old girl onto the freeway. I think I've had mine up to 80, but I believe I had a stiff wind at my back, and I think there's a little bit of fudge factor on my speedo. On the plus side, this thing's got some pretty decent low-end torque. I've heard most riders call this the tractor of the ADV bikes. Alright, there's another upside that really sticks out about this bike. When you combine the small displacement with the single cylinder, an electronic fuel injection, and a 4-gallon gas tank, this thing can go forever on one tank of gas. There is another gentleman on YouTube who goes by Uncle Voodoo who did a full to empty test on the same year bike. I've got the numbers up. He had a total of 288 miles on one tank of gas, which again is 4 gallons, which figures out to 72 miles per gallon. I myself have never wanted to attempt a full to empty test. I have made a few trips from my home west of the Minneapolis metro area through the state into South Dakota and back, which is a 300-mile round trip, and I have not had to fill up till shortly before getting back to home. Alright, now I'm putting up the transmission. 5-speed constant mesh. Now earlier we talked about the 24.3 horsepower at 6,500 RPM. Because of this, I really wish Royal Enfield would have put a 6th gear on this bike. Not because it needs it often, but for those times you find yourself needing to get onto a higher speed highway. For the most part, I just avoid high speed freeways, and that's fine by me because most of my riding on this bike is, let's call it adventure bike riding. I'm out there for the adventure. I take gravel roads or small country highways, and for the most part it works just great for me. I'll put up the rest of the specs here and try my best to relate them to the real world, at least as far as I'm concerned. So first is suspension. I'm not going to go through and read every little bit of it. You can read that for yourself. But as it relates to me, I am 5'9" 5'9.5" actually, 225 pounds. And when I go on my little adventure trips or my longer adventure trips, I'll load the bike with probably another 30 pounds of gear. So with my 225, 30 pounds of gear, I have absolutely no issues with the suspension and no issues with the brakes. I've heard them referred to as wooden. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I think I can guess based just on how they feel. I won't say the brakes on the Himalayan are great, but they're definitely not bad. With my weight and a fully loaded bike, they get the job done. From the factory, the Himalayan comes with an 80-20 road to dirt split tube type tires, and the wheel size makes it easy to find replacement tires. Okay, on to seat height. The Enfield seat height is 31.5 inches. Me at 5'9.5", I've got between a 30 and 31 inch inseam, and I can get both tippy toes on the ground at the same time. However, most times when I do stop, I leave my right foot on the peg and put my left foot down. Let's talk seat comfort. I give the factory seat a thumbs up. My longest day on the bike has probably been about 250 miles of minimum maintenance roads and back roads with a few, let's say 15-minute breaks in between longer parts of the ride. If you spent any amount of time on an adventure bike, you know that standing from time to time and stretching can help prevent bike butt. And if you have not spent much time on an adventure bike, this is something you do want to check. You want to be able to stand up on the foot pegs while holding onto the handlebars and not be leaning forward or backwards. So that brings me to the next item on the list, and that is the foot peg positioning and comfort. And again, at my build and my height of 5'9.5", this works out perfect for me on the Himalayan. On the instrument panel, you've got an analog speedometer, an analog tach, and an analog fuel gauge. The LCD portion of the instrument panel has a gear indicator, a clock, dual trip meters, and an odometer. There is also an LCD compass. This compass can be calibrated. However, I would not recommend using this compass to guide you on your journey, or you might end up using this compass to try to get unlost on your journey. Alright everyone, now on to my one and only gripe about the bike, and that is the parasitic battery drain caused by a gear position sensor that is always drawing power even when the bike is off. You will be able to find fixes for this online. There's a few that I'm currently looking at. One is called a Hitchcock's loom. Then there's an official jumper wire. You can use a battery tender or a battery disconnect switch. So anytime this bike is sitting for more than a week or two not being ridden, there's a good chance your battery is going to be dead the next time you try to start it up. So make sure you use a battery tender when you're not riding if you have not installed one of these fixes, and definitely make sure you take the battery out or disconnect it and do a trickle charger in the off season. To sum up my long-term review, I've had this bike now for 5 years. I still love getting on it and going for a ride. I've never regretted buying it. Have there been times where I wished I had a little bit more horsepower? Sure. But to get that little bit extra horsepower, I can list a number of things that I would have had to sacrifice to get it. Low seat height, low center of gravity, low cost of the bike itself, low end torque, and high fuel efficiency. Whether you're scouring Marketplace or Craigslist looking for one of these Himalayans used, I hope the information I provided today is useful to you. I know the Himalayan is now a liquid-cooled 450, but you can probably find some bang-up used deals for this bike out there. So if you're looking for one, good luck. If you find one, you won't regret it. Don't forget, if you like the video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.